Hello YouTube, this is Logan Film Studios with LEGO Transformers G1 Optimus Prime. So this is my second version of G1 Optimus Prime, and as you can see, it's a lot better than the first. It's way more clean and has a lot less studs showing, with only the two on the sides of the cab here and the two on the back here. And these two here actually act as the trailer hitch, so there's actually a purpose for them being there. The cab overall is a lot smoother, like it's totally square on all the sides, very flat and clean. And the back here is a lot chunkier, but overall just more cohesive. It does roll, however the front wheels like to kind of bend up a little bit because they're on this clip here. So I like to keep them pushed back as far as possible on this piece, because the further back the less give they have on here. Some details on this version that were not on my original version are the headlights here, as well as the taillights in the back, these translucent red tiles here. And he also has these side windows, which were not on my original version. I've decided to go with translucent light blue for the windows on this version, because I think that's a little bit more accurate. The side also has this grille section on the back of the wheel well, which is accurate to a detail he has on the Masterpiece toy. And like all good Primes, he has no visibility of the head in the back here. It's just red all throughout the cab. Unfortunately for this version, I was not able to fill in the hole right here that I did in the first version, but I think that sacrifice is well worth it in terms of how it transforms for the robot mode. Also, this area is kind of missing the round gas tanks that are supposed to be here, but I guess this gray section kind of stands in well enough for that. The way the trailer would connect to the studs in the back is through one of these 2x2 turntables. And so I just peg in here, and the trailer would attach to that. Unfortunately, I don't have the trailer to show off for this video because I'm in the middle of updating it as well, but I'll show that in a future video. The back here also has one of these clips here, which kind of just had to be there with how it transforms, but I guess this could be useful for like attaching a minifigure accessory of some sort. Another use for these studs is actually weapon storage. Since I don't have the trailer ready, you can take his gun here, and it has this upside down jumper plate here, which can tab right into the studs here. And that's a pretty good way to store the gun when you don't have the trailer. For size comparisons, here is Prime next to Bumblebee, and here they are next to a minifigure. Overall, they're pretty close to minifigure scale, probably a little bit smaller, but I think they work well enough with minifigures next to them. So that's pretty much it for Optimus Prime's truck mode. It's pretty clean, and I'm very proud of it overall. And so without further ado, let's get to the transformation. So here is G1 Optimus Prime in his robot mode, and I'm just so happy with this mode. It has all the details you'd want in a G1 Optimus Prime figure. He has the blue legs, blue head, blue hands. He has the spots of yellow on the waist section and on the arms. He has this nice chrome grille that's actually angled down ever so slightly. There are the gray grills here, which in the cartoon I think are blue sometimes, but I prefer to use the gray here just because it's kind of more of an iconic look. But yeah, everything on here is just so smooth, and as you might have noticed, the wheels from the truck mode are entirely gone. I've taken great lengths to completely hide them from the robot mode, as they are completely gone in the original cartoon. The back here is a little bit less clean than the front, but is still fairly accurate to what it should look like. He has this sort of like, I don't know what these are supposed to be, kind of like cylindrical sections on the back. There's like supposed to be two here and then the main backpack here. The main backpack section is a little bit on the small side, but I mean, having a smaller backpack isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can kind of see, like, from the top angle, kind of this piece of the grill here, as the grill sort of splits into two different sections during transformation, but I don't think it's that bad. You can also see this white skeleton arm here, which is the armature that the head folds up using, but I don't think this is a huge deal as well. It's kind of unavoidable with this design. For the head design, I've stayed with the same head that I used for version 1 that was inspired by the Boys with the Most Toys Micro Optimus Prime. I think this does a decent job at conveying the character, but it's still not perfect, and I'll probably be changing it whenever I make the next version of Optimus Prime. For accessories, I've built Optimus Prime's Ion Blaster, which I showed before. This is a lot more accurate of a design than my previous version, and I've used this lipstick piece for the handle because it's a more rubbery kind of piece and fits onto the hand a lot easier, just like this. And here's how Prime looks holding his gun, although the joint in his upper arm is a little bit loose, so it's hard to kind of get his arm to stay upright in a higher position. So I usually just pose him holding it down in a more idle position. I've also built Optimus's Energon axe, which is pretty famous despite only appearing in one episode of the original cartoon. It's done entirely in orange with just this translucent cylinders in the middle to show that it's sort of made of energy. This just plugs into the arm. You have to kind of take the hand off and replace it with the axe, which is kind of accurate to how it works in the show. The hand is not visible when the axe is being used. And yeah, here's how it looks. The same issue sort of applies with the arm not being able to support a lot of weight. But if you pose it right, you can get it to stay, and it looks pretty darn cool. Something else I made that I guess can be considered an accessory is Roller, which is this little drone that comes out of Optimus Prime's trailer. This version is a lot more accurate than my previous version, like everything else in this video. It has like the two kind of seat areas in the middle, and then like the red light on top. It has these studs in the back, which will be used to kind of connect it to the trailer to prevent it from sort of freely rolling around in there. And yeah, I got all the angles and stuff right on here, and it's a pretty cute little accessory. The stud on top of the light can be used to hold Optimus Prime's gun. It can be attached to any one of the 3 slots in the jumper plate, so you can put it more forward or more backward, or just right in the middle. I kind of like to put it on this end. And the gap in the piece in the back here will give enough room for the back piece of the gun to have enough space, so it all works out. You can have Roller kind of roll up to Prime and hand him his gun, I guess. As all G1 Primes should, this Optimus Prime features an opening chest, which has the Matrix inside the compartment. This design for the Matrix of Leadership is just a 1x3 plate with 3 tiles on it. It uses these printed tiles from, I think, the Lego Batman movie, and then just the generic orange circular tile there. I think it does a pretty good job at conveying the Matrix of Leadership, but it's kind of honestly outdated already because they've recently come out with a piece that is I guess, a 1x1 plate with handles on 2 different sides, and those handles can be used to actually clip into the clip hands that I use for most of my characters. So once that piece comes out in light bluish gray, I'll be switching to that piece instead. But for now, this can attach to hands just with the kind of the corner piece that juts out here. And that will just kind of, not in the cleanest way, sort of attach to a clip hand like this. And this allows you to get some pretty interesting poses with the Matrix of Leadership. Speaking of posing, this prime has a pretty good amount of articulation. The head can rotate side to side, and it can sort of go up, but it kind of breaks the neck joint here. The shoulders can go forward and back. They can go out, and extending them out on this, this is the ball joint with the Technic pin. Extending them out makes them able to kind of go out further. And also using 1x3 tiles instead of just the 1x6 tile allows them to kind of bend upward and kind of give a little extra clearance as well for the arm to go further out. And then the elbow here can rotate, and it can bend a little bit over 90 degrees depending on how far you have this piece pulled out. The hand can rotate side to side like that, and the legs can go forward and back and in and out on these ball joints. And they have a knee joint that is pretty similar to the arm joint, where it goes a little bit further than 90 degrees depending on how far out this is pulled from the 1x1 plate with the bar on the end. And they can also be rotated at this knee joint. The feet can tilt up and down, but other than that, there is no ankle articulation, unfortunately. So yeah, this isn't the most articulated figure in the world, but I think it has just enough to pull off some pretty expressive poses. For size comparisons, here is Optimus Prime next to my G1 Bumblebee, and here they are next to a minifigure. And as you can see, Prime is a lot taller than Bumblebee, as he should be, but he's still not quite tall enough, so my next update will probably make him a little bit taller to be in scale with the rest of my G1 figures. And there will be more G1 figures coming, so stay on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's all I have to say about G1 Optimus Prime version 2. And yes, for those curious, I will be getting the official G1 Optimus Prime LEGO set that comes out today, so be on the lookout for a review of that. And I'll see you guys next time with my next LEGO Transformer.